New lockdown laws are now in effect in Sydney to curb problems with alcohol, while similar legislation is being considered in many other parts of the country. But for many young Australians, the greater danger is the alarming spread of recreational drugs.
You got any pills, bro?
Hey?
You got any pills?
Are you?
Drug use in Australia is completely out of control.
Probably about 95%, I'd say, would be on pills.
Searching for the thrill of a high, and they'll try anything to get there.
One of the great concerns is you don't know what you're taking.
Party hard or go home.
Music festivals go hand in hand with recreational drug use. Ask anyone here and they'll talk about it openly.
The first substance is mainly MDMA, which is the big one, and ecstasy, obviously. And a lot of people on acid.
This is the f***ing bomb, and this is what, if you record around everything, this is what you expect.
How many people do you reckon that have just been in the boiler room would probably be on something other than just alcohol or just
maybe
something
about
like that?
3,000. I was going to say a lot more than 3. Nah, a lot.
Back in the 90s, MDMA or ecstasy was the party drug of choice right around the world. But the quality began to decline. Newer drugs came onto the market and its popularity wore off, except in Australia.
It makes you kind of just go crazy in the boiler room. It makes you off your tits.
We have the highest ecstasy use per capita in the world. More disturbingly, a recent research sample showed that those taking ecstasy, or pills as they're commonly referred to, are younger and a higher proportion of them are female.
Who's the typical kind of person that takes drugs at a music festival?
Her. No, kidding.
They simply don't know what's in them. When you ask them why, they say they don't care.
Drug educator Paul Dillon spends his days teaching students about the dangers of drug use. He says it's little wonder ecstasy's popularity is ongoing.
I can go into a group of young people and talk about alcohol, cannabis, pretty well any drug, and I've got a reasonable amount of credibility that they believe what I say. With ecstasy, great difficulty. Back in the early 90s, a pill would have cost $50, $60. Now you can buy them for $20 and even less if you buy them in bulk. That means that all of a sudden they're accessible to a completely different group of people, particularly the very young.
The drug use has just gone through the roof. In 18 years, it's just, I don't know, it's up tenfold of what it was when Anna died. There's no doubt about that.
Anna Wood's school portrait became the face of Australia's drug problem. The morning after taking an ecstasy tablet in a Sydney nightclub, the 15-year-old was on life support. She'd stopped breathing after vomiting most of the night. She stopped breathing in my arms. That was the worst thing that could ever happen to her dad, I can tell you, because I just shaking her saying, please don't die, please don't die. They said, Angela, Anna's taken ecstasy. And we said, what's that? We had no idea what ecstasy was. 2 days later, she died. The coroner's report found Anna died from water toxicity or drinking too much as a result of taking ecstasy. It's been 18 years since Anna's death, but her memory is everywhere. Her story is studied by students. There's been a book, and Father Tony still receives letters every week from those touched by her death.
And I have to say, it is the reason both of us have never tried drugs. I am positive we are not the only people. So
he still travels to schools across the country telling Anna's story, but he says now he's up against it.
Well, the kids talk about pills, and you've got to say to them, what do you mean pills? And they will say, well, ecstasy, you know, that's what we're in. Marijuana's rife right through the countryside. You can get it anywhere, but ecstasy you can get everywhere as well.
So what needs to be done?
Drugs have always been a problem at music festivals, and even though there's an increased police and security presence at a festival like this, people are already off their face before they've even walked through the gate. What about sniffer dogs? When people come in and they see sniffer dogs and they have drugs?
They're really intimidating. You freak out.
They get scared, like the dogs, because they're pretty scary dogs. Like they get threatened, they take more, then they OD and get in trouble.
In September last year, James Munro died after overdosing at the DEF CON 1 festival.
He left in an ambulance after taking 3 tablets which he believed to be ecstasy and then going into cardiac arrest.
Then there was Gemma Toms at the 2009 Big Day Out.
According to her friends, she had taken 1 pill before she got to the party. As she was walking in, she saw sniffer dogs, she had some in her pocket, and she took the rest of the pills that she had there. As a result, sometime later, she died from an MDMA poisoning.
But despite the warnings and the increase in law enforcement, the message is just not getting through.
So munted.
You make sure I'm on there and I'll be famous.
It's a parent's nightmare, isn't it? They are obviously too cheap and easy to get, those drugs.